Hey there, good morning. I'm John. Today is Monday, May 22nd, 2023. I almost said March. It's the other month with May. May 22nd, 2023. This is my daily vlog. It's each morning I get up and stand in front of this camera to document my journey to go from part-time to full-time with my content creation hobby ever since I was laid off a few months ago. So each day we usually start by doing what's up yesterday. And I would say, well, that's all the way back on Friday, but I almost kind of didn't take a full weekend off. I had got a lot of stuff done. So let's go back to Friday, where I published a short form video. I finalized, I didn't shoot a frame of my long form video, but I finalized what it's going to be in my head, and I wrote some more outlining what my plan is. And I think I've crystallized it now, which is often the hardest part. That is the second hardest part. The hardest part is pushing record. The second hardest part is figuring out what you're going to do. And then it's all downhill from there. So we'll tackle that more today. We'll get to that. We talked to today. I also had I had some house maintenance problems pop up on Friday that really started taking my time away, but it was Friday, so I kind of pumped the brakes a little bit and relaxed. To hit the ground again on Monday. But because Friday was a little light, I wanted to keep going. So on Saturday, I went ahead and did another live stream. Saturday afternoon around 2. I'm doing these kind of impromptu a little bit. I mean, I think we mentioned on Friday I might, so it was a total surprise, I suppose. But I'm just trying to test the waters and see, like, if I were to do something semi-regularly, what kind of response it would get to go live. And realistically, I don't know. I got to figure out. It can't be every single Saturday, because then you don't have any time to breathe and regroup, kind of thing. But Saturday works really well, it seems. So I'll keep testing the waters and seeing how that goes. Evenings are probably better, but that's a trade-off. So, and then on Sunday, so you know that tomorrow is podcast editing day, but it's a musical podcast where we're running through the top hits from the Billboard charts 40 years ago. And musical backtrack audio segments take much longer to produce, and I'm afraid I could not get it all done in the edit time tomorrow. So I did a lot of editing and prep work for the next podcast we'll edit on Tuesday. On Sunday, I spent probably 3 hours or so editing down what we have and carving out. There's some Patreon exclusive stuff in there that we're going to provide. And so the edit tomorrow, we'll talk about it more tomorrow, I guess. It's going to be a different kind of edit, because it's not just running through the isolated tracks and cleaning it up. It's going to be the assembly with music. It's going to be more work in Audition. So if you've been to several and just it was more of the same and you didn't like hanging out, tomorrow's is going to be somewhat different, because it's going to be assembly of all these music tracks inside of as a background and little hits and stings and stuff like that I have to put together. But I knew I wanted to make sure I was able to accomplish that on Tuesday, and I didn't want to use all of Monday doing it, so I spent some time on Sunday pre-editing that show so that tomorrow will be productive and entertaining. Maybe I try to do both if I can, if at all possible. Productive first and entertaining during those. Okay, so let's before we talk about today, let's talk about stats. What has happened? I think finally the downslide has definitely ended. We've had a little uptick over the weekend. Friday was great. Saturday was pretty good. They're all right in line. I think the precipitous fall is over, and now we're just ready for the next surge. I'm certainly ready for it. We did cross 27,000 subscribers. I think it was early Saturday morning, I believe. So right now we're at 27,000 and not quite 100. We'll probably hit 27.1 today. So we're back on a even keel of it's anywhere between 30 and 60 subscribers a day. So 50 a day that's a nice baseline from where our baseline was about 20 before this thing happened. So again, after all the smoke has cleared, we're in a better place than we were before the surge. We just had to live through the coming down off of it. And that's pretty much over. I mean, however many steps we found last week, I think the steps are, we found acceptance. That's the last step of any multi-step program. And so today, I have nothing else on the calendar other than I would like to get out a short form video. So I'm going to look for one that's kind of low impact, easy to produce. And then I want to start shooting the multi-part long form that I've been planning for. Now that probably will it's going to be multi-part. So the first part probably will take several days. So maybe not till Wednesday or Thursday even. I don't know. I won't know until I get into it and I start finding out how long it is to shoot and what the effort is, because it's a lot of setups. It's a lot of different move the camera, get the focus again, start, move the camera, get the focus again, because it's like a restoration project and it's not just let's browse this thing. It's like let's analyze each piece. So the shoot is going to take longer, but we'll see how it goes, and I'll see as the week goes on, we'll see how that lines up. The good news is once the first part is done, the second part is largely done, shy of editing, because it's just such a large endeavor that it will be chopped up into 2 parts. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Before I leave, I just want to take a second. I had a really nice commenter, a new commenter that I hadn't met before over the weekend had popped in. His name was Jake. And I replied to him, but whenever I see a message from someone, what I've learned in the comments is one person says it, there's probably 3 or 4 more that are thinking it but didn't feel like typing. And Jake popped in and he clearly found me from the top 5 things I learned growing up Generation X. Very popular video, one of our most popular. And he's essentially... he was kind of kindly chastising me, like, dude, if you want to get bigger, you got to stop doing all this Atari shit. You got to start doing more of the, the experience of Gen X pop culture kind of stuff. And his evidence to that was like, look at that one video, over 100,000 views. Duh, right? And other people might be wondering, or even my friends who have just asked me, why are you doing this particular thing? And the reality is, I've never considered GenXGrownUp to be a gaming channel. Games were a huge part of my life growing up in the 70s and 80s, so it was always going to be a facet of GenXGrownUp. And so early on, it was very broad topic. We would do one about movies and one about TV and one about a toy and one about some gear, some technology. But what happened is, if you want to succeed on YouTube, from my experience, you have to find what works and works reliably, and keep focusing in until you can find an audience that really resonates with. So to Jake's point, he said, well, that video did over 100,000 views. Why don't you do more of those? I did. I did a direct follow-up to it about a year after, and it didn't do nearly as well as stuff I'm doing today, even now, And 2, I should say that video took 5 years to get 100,000 views, whereas, now I get 10, 20, 30,000 views in a month or so on good videos. Also, I would, so anybody who's asking, why is all you do just Atari and gaming stuff? And it's not because it's my only interest. It's because when you find something on YouTube that works and gets a reaction, and YouTube figures out that that's what you are and knows how to present you, you either need to fall in that track or be accept it yourself that they're not going to know what you do and not recommend you. So that's why, over the last couple of years, I've been focusing almost exclusively on old handheld tabletop video game gadgets and toys, or things connected to arcade games or Atari and that kind of thing. And it's not because I wouldn't be wanting to do that anyway. I would want to do that with other stuff. But when I learned over the last 6 years that when I do the other stuff, it falls flat. And when I do more of the thing that people have known me for, that gets views. So I'm okay with that. I could do a video on anything. And so why would you not do the video that regularly performs versus the one that usually falls flat and no one knows how to find it or see it? I got lucky with that one video about kind of Gen X culture, but that was a very isolated thing. You can go back and look at, I have like 700 videos on GenXGrownUp, and you can go back and look at things that are about toys or movies or TV or whatever, conventions or those sorts of things. And it's just a little squeak and then nothing happens. But then you look, I would say, Jake, look at all my top videos. There's that 5 things I learned growing up. And then there's 40 of these arcade and Atari toy things, right? So that one did well. You can't follow that one that was an anomaly versus all of the ones that regularly do well. So if ever you've wondered why I tend to just follow these 70s and 80s games and toys and arcade stuff, it's because over time, as we sharpen that blade and we hone it down, That's the sharp edge that always seems to work. So when it comes time to battle, you pull out your best weapon, and my best weapon to get recognition and views and traction is following those trends. So to Jake, thank you for your comment. It was a little, it hit me as a little bit judgmental, but only because I read it that way. I don't think you meant it that way, but it was a wake-up call, and I'm like, oh, that I see how from the outside someone could say, why aren't you doing this thing that you think is great? Well, reality, we've considered that thing, and we've tried that thing, and that thing failed. He also mentioned you got to get off the Atari and get on the NES stuff, because that's what people played in the 80s. Look, I'm not trying to cater to people that played NES in the 80s, because I didn't. I talk to what I know, and what I know is what I played when I was growing up. And there's a lot of those people that ain't dead yet, and they're enjoying this kind of content. And if I talked about NES, that would be, you see any Mario stuff on my set? Not that I don't like Mario. I liked him when he was in Donkey Kong. But I just never was I wasn't a huge player. Like in the 80s, I was in school. I was on computers and that kind of thing. So, if somebody were to say, hey, how come you're not doing Sega and Nintendo stuff? It's because I had grown out of it by that point. Someone who grew up in that era, they do that. And they do, and that's a flooded market. But older guys doing YouTube like this, that's not a flooded market. And when you think about it pragmatically, I found the niche that works. I'm growing the niche. So, yeah, so that's just an interesting topic, and Jake gave me food for thought, and I'm happy that he did. I don't know if he's going to come back, if it was a drive-by or a snipe, but if you come back, Jake, that's your explanation. That's an expansion upon what I wrote in your comments. So. Okay, hey, I think that'll cover what get us going this morning. I want to thank you for stopping in and checking out today's vlog if you did. If you're here every day, you know who you are. I love you for that. Thanks so much. Have a good and productive Monday. Do something good for yourself if you can, and I'll talk to you again next day. Bye-bye.